The U.S. ambassador to Israel, as well as a very close confidant of Donald Trump, was challenged and pressed about Donald Trump and Israel, along with, Israel's humanitarian aid to Gaza. He gave some great answers to some of these hostile reporters. Check it out.
Hi. Good to see you, Greg.
Greg Palcott, Fox News. Let me juggle these microphones. You hold that? Fine. A question, please, Mr. Ambassador, and a follow-up, if I might. Does this humanitarian plan have anything to do with the plan that was revealed through Israeli sources last Sunday, which was pretty well criticized by the UN and other humanitarian agencies? And the follow-up is, as you noted, U.S. has a big role. In the immediate area, Israel has less of a role. Is the Trump administration now trying to work around the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu? You yourself last night said that the Israeli government did not have to be notified of the U.S. Houthi deal. There are discussions going on right now between Iran and the U.S. and intermediaries, Saudi Arabia, even Hamas, and we know that President Trump is not stopping here next week. Are you trying to work around the Israeli governments on a range of issues?
Absolutely not. I think any characterization of that would be completely, absolutely untrue. There is an incredibly close relationship between the U.S. and Israel that continues, and I think even my comments may have been taken a little out of context. The rest of that story was the United States doesn't have to tell Israel everything it's going to do. Here's the second part that I said. Israel doesn't have to tell us everything they're going to do. It's a sovereign nation. We respect that.
That is such a great line. Yeah, we're two sovereign nations, and Israel doesn't have to be America's little bitch. That is exactly what he's trying to say here. Like, Israel is not, beholden to everything the United States wants it to do, and that is just the reality on the ground.
No issue here that there's some kind of workaround going on. I wanted to make clear that this is not, and this is where the news story that was reported last week was really off the mark. This is not an IDF or an Israeli operation. That would cause some potential partners to say we don't want to be involved. The Israelis' role, and it's a significant one in helping provide security, but they're not operating the distribution. They're not operating the bringing of the food in or the distribution of the food when it gets into Gaza. They share the same concerns we do to make sure that Hamas doesn't have any of it. Absolutely, we don't see there being any roadblock at all. The relationship is, I think the word is often used here, ironclad. That's the operative word. I would say that word is still operative, very much so. The level of cooperation between the United States and Israel is one that is not recent. It goes back for decades through Democrat, Republican administrations. It is one that has transcended every kind of situation that happens in the Middle East because it's important to both countries. So there is not an issue, and I want to make that incredibly clear. There is no sense of conflict or issue of separation between the long-standing alliance between the United States and Israel. And the President has made that clear. I'm here to work for him and to carry his message, and that's been his message without any equivocation. I think I was asking you, yes?
Yep. He's referring to some rumors right now that Donald Trump is betraying Israel. But again, he is making it clear that Trump is not betraying Israel and that America and Israel are on the exact same page.
Laser Berman from the Times of Israel. Good to see you again. Two quick questions. What's your assessment of the state of starvation in the Gaza Strip? There's been allegations. And number two, it seems like this plan is contingent on the IDF being deep in the Gaza Strip. If there is indeed a ceasefire, let's say in the next week, it'll probably involve IDF troops having to pull back to small buffer zones. Would this plan be able to go forward, or how would you stop Hamas from getting the aid if indeed the IDF pulls back? Thank you.
I think any ceasefire, and again, I'm just speculating, but any ceasefire still requires security. And there's not a matter of just saying everything's going to be fine and we're going to build campfires and sing Kumbaya with marshmallows being toasted. That's not going to happen in Gaza anytime soon. So the focus is going to be get the food, get it to the people who are hungry, keep it away from Hamas. It's really that simple. And how we make that happen is going to be the really challenging part of what happens over the next few days and weeks. I'll take two more questions. I'll take yours, and then I'll go back over here, okay? I should have done yours first because the microphone was closer, but I want to be as efficient as government cannot be, and that's what I'm here to do. Yes, sir.
Ambassador Huckabee, Jeremy Diamond, CNN. Thank you so much. First of all, just to follow up on Lazar, he asked you what your assessment is of the state of starvation and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Do you acknowledge that there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza right now?
If there wasn't a humanitarian crisis, there wouldn't be an effort to try to deal with it. So the answer is obviously yes, there is a humanitarian crisis. That's why we need a humanitarian aid program going in. And it's also why it needs to involve all of the people of the world, government, non-government, nonprofit, everyone who has been saying there's a crisis. I expect them to step up and to now join the effort to resolve it. To the degree to which that crisis exists, I personally cannot answer that. It would have.
And again, he's not saying that Israel is responsible for this crisis. He is simply saying that there is a crisis. One could easily argue that Hamas are responsible because, again, Israel sends in enough aid. There's enough aid going in. But the problem is Hamas steals it and then sells it on the black market. And so you're enriching Hamas, and the Gazans don't get their food.
Have to be someone who is closer to the situation directly there.
At best, about 60% of Gaza's population would be fed by this program. What about the other 40%?
Everything is planned to be scaled up. You have to start somewhere.
This guy is such a hostile reporter. He's from CNN. He really doesn't like Israel.
And the somewhere feeds an enormous level of the people of Gaza. And then it scales up from there.
But they don't have time to wait, do they?
Well, I don't know. Right now, they've been waiting a long time thanks to Hamas and their efforts to keep their people starving. I wish Hamas would decide that they wanted their people to have more food and would quit stealing it. And if that would happen, we would be further along than we already are. Now we're having to work around the threats that they pose to the aid workers that will be going in. Is why we have one of the big logistical challenges of making sure that we can secure their routes in, their routes out, and while they're on the ground in Gaza.
And then just in terms of the wider picture, sir, to what extent, how important is it to President Trump that there be some kind of a ceasefire by the end of his visit next week, and how much pressure are you and the administration bringing to bear on Israel to make that happen?
I think the ceasefire is really dependent upon, is Hamas going to release hostages? Why do we still have 59 people who are hostages in Gaza? We don't know the exact number. I've seen estimates of 21 that are alive. Why are they still there? Why haven't they been released? How come it has been this long, more than twice as long as hostages were held in Tehran in 1979? And many of us are old enough to remember that. Some of you may not be, but I am. Why and how long must these hostages be tortured inside these tunnels before Hamas decides that they're going to let them go? And I just can't emphasize enough, we are here today with a crisis, not because of Israel. We are here today because of Hamas. They've initiated the crisis, they have prolonged the crisis, and they have exacerbated the crisis. And I hope the entire world, no matter where they are and what they believe, would join in a unison of condemnation for what Hamas has done to innocent civilian people, that they murdered, that they've tortured, that they've raped, that they have beheaded. This is where the responsibility lies, and I don't ever want us to forget that. Final question right here. Final question.
Ambassador Mike, Barak from I-24 News. I wanted to ask you about there are many voices in Israel that oppose to that plan to send humanitarian aid to Gaza. And looking at the report about the civil nuclear plant for Saudi Arabia, there is a concern that Israel maybe will be left behind. Maybe President Trump is favoring much more of the U.S. interest than the Israeli ones. Can you comment on that?
First of all, I have a problem with this guy's accent. Like, you should probably get somebody that speaks English well when talking to an American official. That is my view on that. Number two, do you even hear yourself? Israel, do you want to be a sovereign state, or do you want to be America's little bitch. I want to say this because I think a lot of Israelis and Jewish people are feeling like, well, Trump said this about Gaza and that's terrible. Like, listen, or Trump said this about the Houthis. You are not beholden to Trump. And so this idea that he posits, he says, Trump is putting America over Israel. How could that be? Like, yeah, that is what Trump is going to do. That is what Trump is always going to do. Now, a lot of the time, those things align. A lot of the time, Trump understands that Israel needs to do this or that because, it's security, etc. And Trump is very pro-Israel and has done more for Israel than any other U.S. president. But the idea that he is going to constantly and always put Israel first and constantly and always ignore the fact that he was voted in to be the peace first president, the one who brings peace to the world, is crazy. It is your job, it is Israel's job, it is Netanyahu's job to tell him, listen, it's great that you want peace. We have to do this. We have to go about it this way. And that is that is just what is necessary. It is Trump's job to go ahead and say, Netanyahu, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And then it is Netanyahu's job to tell him, no, we're not. We have to do this.
I don't know that I understood all of the question, but I think the essence of it was, is the United States sort of backing away? Is that a fair assessment of it? I think the answer to that is an emphatic no. This is a president who has done more to stand with Israel than any president in American history. When Harry Truman made the first recognition of Israel in 1948, 11 minutes after Ben Gurion declared the State of Israel, that was a significant moment and a historic moment when America launched this partnership. It has been strong through every administration. It has been strong through every political party, and it remains strong today. But under President Trump, it has never been stronger. And that is true when you see the many actions he's taken, whether it was the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish state, whether it was the moving of the embassy, whether it was the recognition of the Golan Heights, but even more recently, since he's taken office just a couple of months ago, he immediately took away what had been a previous administration's embargo about providing necessary tools and ammunition to the Israelis to fight the war. And so the president has been consistent in his support and in his partnership, and I have no reason to believe that that won't continue. I appreciate your all coming. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll continue to update you as we have more information to do so.
This man is a godsend. Mike Huckabee is incredible. And as more proof to show that Trump is pro-Israel, look at this clip. Mike Huckabee, is the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Way, way better than the Kamala proposed ambassador and or Biden's ambassador. For more, you can subscribe to our channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos and support the channel, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you for watching this clip and have a good one.